We all have some darker corners in our homes, and it's nice to have a plant in there. You might be wondering what plants would thrive in those darker corners. So in this video, I'm going to share my 5 favorite plants that I have in my home. My home is really old, 500 years old. My plant room is slightly newer and I've put a skylight in, hence all the light that I have in here. But I have some dark corners in my house that I would like to put some plants in. So I found some lower light plants that work really well, and I'm going to share those with you, which will hopefully help you next time when you come to choose a plant for your darker space. So let's get going. I get asked a lot whether plants can survive in rooms with no windows in. And I'm always really cautious with this because I think plants need natural light to survive. I have a client who has a back room that doesn't have any windows in. So we've put a couple of low light plants in, but they rotate the plants on a regular basis. Every few days, they bring it to the front where the natural light is, just so that those plants can top up on their natural light, and so that the plant can photosynthesize. Of course, you can use some grow lights as well, but I always think it's great for plants to have some natural resources from natural daylight, because that's how they live in the wild. The first one is a Dracaena. I've also heard it being called Dracaena before, but I love this plant and I've had it for many years. It's been in different rooms, including a bright room out of direct sun. It's currently downstairs in my dining room, which is quite dark, and it's tucked away in a corner just to the side of the window. So it is in a dark corner and it's loving it. I've had quite a lot of growth over the last few months. I don't know if you can see some of the new leaves that have come through. I fertilise it during the summer months with a liquid fertiliser, and it's loving the space that it's in. I do need to repot this plant into a bigger pot. I need to give it a clean up, which is on my list to do. But I can really recommend a Dracaena for any dark corner that you might have. And it's so easy to look after. Just one thing to be mindful of: if you notice your plants in your darker room spots are not growing as quickly as your other plants, it could just be that your darker corners are stunting the growth of your plants, which is natural because they don't get a lot of natural sunlight. It doesn't mean they're unhappy, it just means that they will not grow as quickly as your other plants. But what you could do is rotate, like I mentioned before, to have some different plants in darker corners, and the ones that are currently in darker corners are topped up with some natural light. So you could do a rotation if you think your plants are not getting enough natural light. So my top one is a Dracaena. Such an easy plant, beautiful statement plant, and really easy to look after. Number 2 is a ZZ plant. I always recommend these lovely plants to anyone who's new to plant care, or perhaps just want to experiment, because these plants are such low maintenance, easy to care for plants. This plant is here in my plant room, but it's underneath the window in a slightly shady corner. It's even flowering, and let me take it out of the pot to show you, which I spotted earlier. So there's the flower. It's got loads of new growth. This is a brand new stem. You can see how lovely and green it is. I've got 3 new stems actually. I fertilized this plant also during the growing months, and I can honestly say fertilizer makes such a big difference to a plant during the growing months. It tops up their nutrients that they need, and it's a natural fertilizer that they need because it runs out from their soil. So it's up to us to replenish those nutrients by giving them a natural fertilizer. ZZ plants propagate really well as well. I have another one downstairs, and I hadn't noticed that a stem had broken off. They sometimes just come loose naturally because the roots perhaps are rotting or have come away from the soil. So what I've done is I've cut the unhappy part off. I'm letting that stem heal, and I'll be popping it in water for some roots to grow. The leaves aren't looking as healthy and as happy because it's been lying on the ground for quite a few weeks and I hadn't noticed that it dropped off. So hopefully this will propagate well, and then I can stick it back into my main plant that I have up here once the roots are well established. Number 3 is Fetonia plants. I love these little plants, and you can have them in a bathroom because they love high humidity, so steam from a shower or a bath. They don't need an awful lot of light. They can thrive in lower light conditions, but just make sure that the soil doesn't dry out too much. You can pot different colours together, and it just adds such a lovely colour to your space. And they grow according to pots. If you pop these together in a bigger pot, they will really thrive, especially when you fertilise them as well during the growing months. But number 3 is a Fetonia. Number 4 is my trusty snake plant, Sansaria. I just love this plant, and I've grown this one from such a small cutting. These lovely plants are not really that fussy. They can grow in lower light conditions. They can grow in bright light. I have several around my house. I have some that are in lower light rooms. I have some that are in brighter light rooms, but out of direct sunshine. They require minimal water. If you have a darker spot and you'd like to have a snake plant in there, I can really recommend these easy, low maintenance plants for any darker space that you might have in your room. Number 5 is a pothos, or devil's ivy. There are so many different varieties of pothos, and they are great for lower light rooms. I've got these 2 in my plant room, but I've got a couple more downstairs in my lower light rooms. I fertilise them as well, just to top up on nutrients. And I might sometimes rotate my pothos plants, so pop the ones that I have up here in the lower light rooms, and then just bring the ones up just so that they can top up on light for another week or so. But they're great, and once they start to trail, you can create a natural wall with them to pin them up on the wall. And all the different colours and varieties of pothos make a really great addition to any room. Generally they thrive in a bright room out of direct sunshine, but if you have got a lower light room, they can be perfect for there as well, and they're really low maintenance plants that you can add to your collection. So those are my top 5 plants for lower light corners. I hope you found that helpful. It's always so important that when we go plant shopping, and I speak for myself here because I have in the past gone and bought a plant and not really know where to put it, whether it needs brighter light or lower light. And then I put a plant in a wrong spot and then the plant dies. So it's always helpful to know where your plants will thrive. But hopefully you found this helpful, and it will help you next time when you go out plant shopping for those lower light rooms that you'd like to fill with some greenery. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, drop them below, but I'll see you next time. Bye.